as we have moved from Waterfall to Agile, so we don't have those roles as project manager or team lead or assistant manager, right? So when we have that movement going on, when people take up the Scrum Master and PO roles, how do they have to be different from what they are already practicing? Because at the end, when they do the PO role or something, they behave like a PM, and so the Scrum, even for the Scrum Master, more of the facilitation or collaboration, it goes again under leadership. So how do we have to keep a focus completely over Scrum roles and not deviate towards the traditional roles what we have in the industry?
Okay, so if I just form a question out of it, and just correct me if I am getting it wrong. So the question could be that if you are helping a team to move from waterfall way of working to agile way of working, how do you ensure the people who are coming from traditional waterfall roles don't end up continuing what they have been doing under the new Scrum role name? So it's like somebody may be called product owner, but the person may keep doing project management the way he was doing before. Is that the question?
Yes.
So I believe if this is get asked, there are multiple ways to look at it. One is an hypothetical way. How do you do an agile transformation, and how do you move people from their traditional way of working to new way of working? Another is that bringing a story about what happened in your environment, or you might have not done yourself. You might have observed something happening in your company where you have worked on. Especially in the case of interview, I prefer we keep it in a more practical space rather than we tell that the product owner role is more on domain and product management side, and we need to make the project manager clear that he is no more expected to focus on task allocation. Rather, he needs to focus on evangelizing product and finding out what is needed. So that could be definitely a theoretical way of explaining. But rather than that, if you can bring some case that, okay, we had a situation, we formed a project team, and we had one guy who was a project manager before, but he became a Scrum Master later on. We observed that he was more or less taking status in a daily Scrum meeting. Or you can talk about yourself also, that I was taking status in the daily Scrum meeting, and I was the one who was designing and assigning tasks. Then one point in time, I had an interaction with our transformation coach, if that exists in your company, and he explained me that if you keep doing this, then you don't get self-organizing team. Then you still people remain dependent on you. So why don't you start focusing on, rather than giving people tasks, facilitating the interaction so people figure it out which task should be worked by whom. So gradually then I started moving towards facilitation process. So that could be a story which you can form based on what is your observation. Now, generically speaking, it's still a leadership, definitely, as you said. It's still driving towards the result. The only difference is it's with a different approach. And there is a reason for different approach. It's not like that Scrum guide is saying do like this, and that's why because it's a holy book, we should do it. Nothing like that. It varies from organization to organization, different stage of the development team as well. But the essence is, if I facilitate, my team own it. If I tell them to do it, then all responsibility of failure, all accountability of right decisions remains with me. So I want to make them more and more responsible for their job, owning their job, and putting their mind and energy more on their job. And in order to do that, I need to take a different leadership style. And this leadership style, a project manager can also apply. It's not like that the project manager cannot do this way of leadership. He can also do this way of leadership. So it's not a direct answer, I would say, but you need to figure it out. What kind of answer you give and what kind of a reaction you get. What is the struggle here?
Okay. So an example would be a much better approach to give them an answer, right?
Yes.
Like
Yeah. And you need to form those examples in advance, because maybe on the fly you may not get it. And in my personal belief, all these things happens throughout our development stages. It's just like that we need to put an eye on it. Even if you have worked in a traditional environment, so-called traditional environment, you may observe 5 project managers some project managers are really empowering their team, and some project managers are not at all empowering their team. If we start seeing the difference, we realize that, okay, this is how the leadership style varies. And you can see this particular project manager might be doing the facilitated leadership style. And that is becomes an example, and you can zoom in there and then say that, okay, I can see these kind of a differences, and that kind of a behavioral change brought more ownership, better quality code, better engagement in the team. Achieving Scrum ceremonies are not the goal. Achieving engagement, good result, collaboration, continuous learning is the goal. So that way, I think you can find and create a good observation.
Okay. Thank you, Saket.